This is how your defined and undefined centers come into play for your content, your offer, and how you move somebody from reading your post to stepping into your offer. So let's make myself a little bit metaphorically smaller here, and let's talk about the centers that we have in human design. There's 9 of them, and there are different ways that they end up getting named. So I'm going to stick with some kind of generic ones in here. Some people come up with their own versions of what they're named. And then there's some different takes on human design, that how they're taught and accepted. We're just going to dig in. You don't have to know anything about human design or your human design, but these are all different kinds of flavors of energy. And even if you don't know anything about human design or care about it, it is a way of thinking and categorizing and organizing what you know, what you are blessed with, your strengths that have earned, strengths that you have been just simply always have had. So let's start at the top. We have the Inspiration Center. I'm going to get out my little pen gal here. We have the Inspiration Center. And this one, think about, it's sparks. Oh, this is a question I need to answer. It's ideation. It's your imagination. You have the Conceptualization Center here, also called the Ajna. It's all about teaching and doing the steps and analyzing and organizing and sequencing. And some might consider it belief shifting, because we can take here, this is the logical way of looking at it. What if we shift it around this way? And so that conceptualizing, you can shift actually someone's belief in that. Then we have the Communication or the Throat Center, which is about your expression and your actions, your words that you say, the things that you draw, the movements you make, bringing everything out into the world from whatever you have within, whether it's your mind or your body or your spirit or whatever, bringing it out into the world. We have Identity, which is the triangle right here in the middle. So think about your purpose, your direction, being able to know yourself, to love yourself, and have love for other people. There's a lot right here in this identity section, jam-packed in there. The Spleen is over here on the side. You can think about this as like surviving versus thriving. So your well-being comes into it, your vitality comes into it, but also, think of like your nervous system, those base fears, fight or flight, that sort of thing. Like, because those all directly affect your well-being. Down at the bottom, we have the Root. You can think about it as your pulse into action, to know when to come into action, that movement, that urge to like if you were sitting on the sofa and all of a sudden you're like, I just got up, and your body just moved. And so this is your drive and your stamina. You'll be able to, keep going with it, the energy boost. Then we have your sacral right here, which is, if you have this one defined, it makes you a generator of some sort, either a generator or a manifesting generator. And it's like your gut response. It's just your knowing that this is the right thing for you. On the far right, we have the solar plexus. This is the birth of creativity, is how I like to think about it. It's where, boom, innovation and creativity starts to bloom. There's a lot of emotions here. Some people call it the Emotional Intelligence Center. It's, I always think of it like birthing a baby. I think about my son and everything that happened, like, wow, my gosh, I created this human being and it's here, and I'm kind of freaked out and I'm happy and I'm sad. And, I miss being pregnant, but I'm glad to not be pregnant anymore. And it's beautiful and it's disgusting. And it is the movie that has all the feelings in it. And then lastly, over here, we have the will center, or the willpower, or the heart center, which has, I always think it's, when you are grounded in your values, you can stick with anything. You know exactly what you're doing. It makes it easier to say yes and no. And that's how I kind of think about that one. Okay, now, in human design, your centers are either defined or undefined. When they are undefined, it's often where you have lived wisdom. So for me, my willpower is undefined. This is something that I am always working on and have been for a while. And I see the contrast because my sister has it defined. It's effortless for her. So for me, it's very easy for me to shift my values depending on who I'm with. And maybe not, and I'm not talking about just like ethical values or your morals or anything of that sort. I'm talking about specifically for a project, like where I may think, specifically, I'm going to talk about DMs and building those relationships through DMs or selling through the DMs. If you are a creator trying to make a living business off of doing these through social media, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And so contacting people in the DMs that is not a stick with it to me. No, a big no, does not happen for me. So it's something that I work on, and I think about. And so sometimes I get stuck in what these values are. Like what's my thing? Like what's my reasonings for doing this? What am I looking to achieve? What's the foundation that's holding up connecting with people in the DMs? So the DMs in itself is not it. I don't have the willpower to stick with it because I struggle with the values. And each person that I meet, I end up changing them. If I get a different mentor, I change them. If I just have a coffee chat with somebody and they tell me how they're doing it, then I was like, oh, that seems like a good way of doing it. And I start adapting their values, where somebody might be give first, always be the one to give in it. And somebody else might have the value of, this is purely just for casual conversations. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. And another person has a value of it's a numbers game. You just do it enough times, someone's going to say yes. And we have different ways that we can create what these values are, whether it's a phrase or a word, however it is. And I think one thing that I do have is kindness. That would be a value that I would have for sending in these DMs. But you can see I'm learning, I'm figuring out. Like for me, it's kindness. It's always appreciation for the other person. And, in some ways, I also have hold or pause and let them be the one to initiate if it goes into some sort of selling direction. I don't want to put forth my offer, but then I'll go work with somebody or I'll read someone's post about how you should be doing DMs, and all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, I guess I gotta initiate. And then I do it a few times and then I was like, oh, I hate this. I feel gross. And then I don't do it for a long time. And because I'm adapting these into these different values, I don't have a steady rhythm. I don't have the steady foundation. So I don't stick with it. So I've had this in other areas of my life, but yet I've worked on them. The DMs is what I'm still working on, clearly. But I've had this in other areas in my life where I've worked on it. And yeah, I can certainly help others with that. And so one of mine that I would say when in my one-on-one programs, which I'm kind of moving away from, I'm going more into the human design reports, but in the one-on-one programs is I could figure out a way to help you to get your nervous system fitness exercises into any activity that you do during the day. I could figure out how to help you stick with it because I was very creative about how we could plan it in their day and get it to work for them and help bring out the values in them because it's something I've had to do for myself over and over and over. So I'm really good at it. But for me, this might be in my offer, but it is not my red frequency. It is not the thing that gets people to come to me. Once they're here and they come to me and they're living in my world, they very much appreciate this. But it is not what somebody starts with me. No. What happens is we take one of these, whether it is maybe you've always just known what your identity is. Or maybe you feel, I never really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I'm always chasing my purpose. You know, you may feel that, you know what? I became a well-being fitness, food nutritionist coach because I struggled with this. This was a hard thing for me. I know several that went through that, especially in perimenopause, and then they become coaches on helping other people because I've lived it and I know how to help. I understand how you feel. And so that becomes the core of the program. It's brilliant. It's great, right? So each one of these has both the, I just always kind of naturally done it. And they also have, I've worked through this. I have earned this. I feel like there's other ones in here that I have earned and how I've done them. And oftentimes they are the undefined centers in human design, meaning the things that we are learning, our wisdom that we're gaining through living life. Then we have ones that just seem to be so effortless that people are just like, huh? That's like, I totally get you. What do you mean you don't value this? What do you mean you don't think this is important? Because to you, you're just like, it's not really worth anything. This is, I'll just whip this up for you. It's an easy thing to do. Like, it's no problem for me to do this. I've got no problem doing that for you. And so, for me, in terms of expression, especially when it was visual expression, oh, that's no easy. I'll mock up something for you. It's easy. I'll do it for you. Not a problem for me. Like, and other people are like, oh, this is brilliant. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. One of the other things for me was to be able to, I didn't always do it for myself, but for others, it's just to be able to hold space for their emotions and to let them be their messy self without passing judgment and experience all of it and find the fun in experiencing it. I was just on a call with somebody the other day, and that's what was happening. We weren't there to talk about emotions. It wasn't about, regulating emotions. It just came up in the conversation in that we were having. And it's just so easy for me to hold that space. And I never really thought it was any big deal. Like this, I can give away, in spades because I never run out of it. But yet to somebody else, it seems like something that, wow, that was really important for me. So here's what's happening. I'm going to go back to the willpower because I talked about it. Now, my sister is an inspiration for me because she has this defined, and I see how her values really lead to this sticking with it. This is not something that she does. She doesn't really offer this in what she does. She does do it, but it's not a thing. Like she lives so much more here and here in the work that she does. She lives more there. But she has this, and it's super effortless for her. Now, when I'm with her, first of all, it's a thing that I'm always like in awe of, like how she just knows. How she'll turn down things. She'll say no to things because she just knows. And I think about myself, and then I'm like, oh, it's the thing that keeps running around my mind. Like I remember one time that she went to go buy a car. They kind of like did this like, classic, car salesperson switcheroo kind of hide things. And she got really annoyed and she said, I'm not interested. I'm out of here. Well, a day later, they ended up calling her and bending to her will because she was, we used to say that she was kind of stubborn, but I've always gone back to that story and think, wow, that's really knowing what you're going for, your value, not like who she is. No, this was a distinct value thing that she was doing. It wasn't because It helped her well-being. She wasn't playing up emotions, on there. It had nothing to do with the root or the sacral or her communication or inspiration or conceptualizing. Nothing to do with that. No, this was her will. That was a very terrible squiggle there. Her will. That's what this was about. Her values. And she stuck with it. And I'm very drawn to that with my sister, and I seek her out for this, even though it's like nothing to her. And that's what the play is of the red frequency. So other people I know that works with her loves this about her, because I know other people who work with her. They love it about her. This is a big, oh yeah, thank you so much. We truly, they value that. But she goes for other things. This is what her core of her offer is about. So she has a red frequency of this. And the more that she leans into this in content, which she's doing, the more people are coming into her world. And then they get into the other areas that's her core. So if this is the red, this is think of it as the first touch, right? First touch point. That's how I want you to think about it. Once they're in your world, then the offer doc should definitely go into what your core is. But this is how people first experience her and say, I want to know more. Red frequency is like opposites attract. She has it defined, so she has a color here. I have it undefined. Opposites attracting. But then once inside, it's sameness connects. So what I'm working on is the red frequency only, because most of us have the sameness connects. We already have that solid because we've all been trained and taught to do that. But what we're missing is just this very first thing to draw people in.